What's going on, guys? It's your boy Will, and I want to welcome you to another motivational, inspirational vlog. Um, Today, I want to talk to you about being a Christian. Being a Christian, being a man or woman of God. Mainly why I chose to give my life to God. Why I chose to be a Christian. Okay, so a lot of people they look at being a Christian, they look at being a man or woman of God, or should I say, man or woman of the cloth, as I've heard people say. They look at it as being hard. They look at it as the wrong move to make according to their life and how they want to live. They think that you know, once you get saved, once you give your life to the Lord, you really don't have no fun. Um, Me personally, talking from experience, I beg to differ. That's a false statement. I would say, in my eyesight, that's a false statement because 2008, I was what 21, 22 when I got saved. When my life was seemed like it was turned upside down, and I seemed like I had nowhere to turn, nowhere to go. Um, I was stressed out, dealing with a number of things. Um, yeah, dealing with a number of things, not really understanding what was going on in my life as a young man. Um, I felt like, life shouldn't be this way. What can I do to change? And, what can I do to change my life? And I remember, talking to my mom, talking to my sister, mainly talking to my sister. And, she had changed her life. She had, gave her life to the Lord, and was walking the righteous path, walking in the Christian life. I guess I could say. And I remember her telling me this is the best thing that she had ever done. That was the best thing she had ever done. And I was thinking, yeah, okay, cool. And I can remember saying, come on, you know, join the army of the Lord, be a soldier for God. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna come one day. I'm gonna come one day, because I was thinking, I got this going on, I got that going on, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm like, just yeah, it ain't my time. So one day, I remember, things had gotten real rough for me. They had gotten real rough, and didn't know what I was gonna do, and I was just like, man, this is not what I want for my life. This is not what I see for my life. So what I began to do was literally just look at me, look within myself and see how I could change and see how I can change my life and still live the way I was living. But little did I know, there was going to be an intervention and nobody was going to say a word to me. So I remember, just thinking about, being a man of God, just thinking about, man, if I get saved, my life is over. If I get saved, it's certain things that I'm doing now I'm not going to be able to do no more. I'm going to have to give up this. I'm going to have to give up that. I'm going to have to give up the girl, which, I don't know, giving up the girl, that really wasn't hard for me. To be honest, that really wasn't hard for me because I was like, man, I think at that point I may have been thinking, now that part may be a good move because I'm stressed, and I've never been this stressed when it comes to being with someone. So I was just like, maybe that will be a good move, but at the same time, I so-called loved her, and that it is what it is. When it comes to that, and one thing I would say, when you're of the world, when you're not, thinking clearly, when you're of the world and you're not thinking clearly, You know, you make reckless moves, you make reckless decisions, and that's what I was doing. I was making reckless moves, reckless decisions. And, you know, it got to a point to where God, I'm pretty sure he was looking down on me. He was like, it's enough. This is enough. You know, this is enough. It's time for people to know you. It's time for people to know who you really are, know your testimony. And, you know, I remember the night I made the decision to give my life to the Lord, give my life to God, and just live for God wholeheartedly and just run hard for God no matter what, no matter, you know, what comes my way, no matter what nobody says. Um, I remember this because my favorite scripture now, which is Isaiah 54:17, no weapon formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that's rising against thee in judgment thou shalt be condemned. This is the heritage of the service of the Lord, and the righteousness of me, saith the Lord. Well, that song, which is No Weapons by Fred Hammond, came on the radio, and I remember just listening to the song. I remember listening to the song, just, you know, and as the song played, I remember tears just rolling down my face. And it was like God was saying, it's over for you. You know, it's over for this life. It's time for you to live the good life. It's time for you to stress no more. It's time for you to be, you know, it's time for you to be the man that you are called to be. And I will say this, that night, you know, I felt like everything was going good. You know, life was okay. I had my girl. You know, I guess that's all that mattered to me. But once I began to really think about things and think about where I was heading, where my life was heading, um, it was a wrap for a lot of stuff. And as the song, which was No Weapons, kept on playing, I remember just crying in the front seat. And the young lady was trying to console me at the time, and I was like, "No, don't touch me. I don't want to be touched. You know, just stay back there, or whatever." And I remember, you know, No Weapons playing. I remember, you know, it felt like, you know, that was the best cry that I ever had in my life because I felt like so much was being lifted up off me. I felt like, you know, from this night on, things have to change. So, you know, I began to, you know, just think that night, like when I got home, after the song went off and I got home, that night I began to think, like, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna, you know, how am I gonna make a change for me? How am I gonna make a change for the better? And, you know, I remember just talking to the young lady and telling her, hey, this is over, we can't do this no more. And, you know, after that, you know, took her back home and I never seen her again. After that, you know, the next night, and which was, I think it was actually the next day, and then I think that night, then that was like a Tuesday or something like that, and then like that Wednesday, I went to Bible study, and I remember telling one of the elders of the church, I said, tonight, I'm going up there, I'm getting saved, and I remember, you know, they didn't do the altar call, so I said, hold on, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute, you're forgetting something, and I let them know, hey, I want to get saved tonight, and I would say when I said the sinner's prayer, when I, you know, made the choice to give my life to God that night, that was the best thing I ever done because it seemed like so much lifted up off me. You know, a lot of things begin to happen, you know, and then God began to show me his hand within these things happening. So becoming a Christian is not easy. It's never easy because it's a decision that you have to make. It's, you know, a decision that you have to make for yourself. Me, when I made the decision to become a Christian, it was because I wanted a better life. I wanted the good life that I had read about, you know, or well, I'll put it this way, not necessarily read about, the good life that I heard about when I was in church. And, you know, I wanted that. I wanted those blessings. So, you know, when I gave my life to God, I began to see things happen in my life, and I remember, you know, quick testimony. So we're coming home one night from a revival, and we were in a bad accident. So like we hit the biggest light pole going home, and I remember taking my seatbelt off because it was around my neck when I was asleep. And when we hit the light pole, I literally came up and I flipped. I basically did a 360, and when my head came back upright, my face smacked the headrest. So my face smacked the headrest, and it twisted the headrest. So, you know, this right here was a wake up call for me. I took it as a wake up call, as the devil is not going to stop coming for you. You have to stand strong. Um, and that is what I had. That is what I had in my mind is stand strong. So, you know, as I'm, you know, coming home, as we're going home, we hit the light pole, and then boom, I see like the, you know, it's like I see the carnage. I see everything that is going on. And I remember that night my sister came to the accident, came to where the accident was, and all I could think of was the car is messed up. And I remember my sister telling me like, no, think about yourself. You made it out of this. And, you know, I look at it as God preserved me. God saved me. He made a way for me to tell my story. He made a way for me to tell my story. He made a way for me to see his goodness. He made it so I could tell my story, see his goodness, and know of his marvelous works. Um, you know what? This right here is good. You know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to do a part two to this. Part two is going to be basically the beginning. I'm going to call it the beginning of a new life. The beginning of a new life. That's what I'm going to call it. So stay tuned, and we will continue on the journey of becoming a Christian. This is Dream. Wait a minute, I'm about to say my own name. This is Will coming at you with yet another video. You guys be blessed.